Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dave Wood. So this is my third attempt at making this video. Probably this is going to be a little bit of a better explanation. So I just got asked, how did women get, how did women give birth to the giants who were known as the Nephilim? And it's a great question, okay? And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to go over a little bit of a brief explanation. And of course, I popped on here, a minute ago, and then I had a couple of people on here, and then they dropped off. And so in any case, I'm just going to keep going with this stuff. All right. And so here's the way that here's the way that this happened. All right. So let me tell you, there's multiple there's multiple species of the Nephilim that came up in the pre-Diluvian days, which is pre-flood. Okay. You have what it says the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men fair, and they bore sons unto them. Hey, what's up, CF? Good, glad you popped back on. They bore sons unto them, and then there was Nephilim that were born. This is in Genesis 6, I believe. Wherever it is that it's like it's right around before the flood happens. Okay, is when this happens. Okay, right. So they essentially they bore sons, and the sons are Nephilim. And it says in the King James Version, it translates that as giants. It actually doesn't say giants; it says Nephilim. However, the King James Version was translated by the apostles, and they wrote giants for a reason, okay? Because it was a more easy to help people understand the monsters. Hey, what's up, Red Planet? It was more easy to help people understand the monsters, if they just said giants, all right? But they're actually not giants; they're Nephilim. And so, where did the Nephilim come from? Well, the Book of Enoch, which is actually referred to in the Book of Jude in the New Testament, so the Book of Enoch was something that was obviously used by the apostles. Enoch says that there was fallen angels that came to the earth to teach the earth people, the secrets of like taking magical plants and stuff like that. Okay, which once again, this is all happening right around the time of the Great Tribulation, which would suggest that what I'm saying is true, because they're discovering magical plants that are given to them by the angels that came out of the celestial kingdom, and the angels out of the celestial kingdom are teaching them the way of the natural plants, and then what happens is those natural plants get activated by a spiritual key of authority that you have called the key of Enoch. Okay, and the key of Enoch essentially was something that was given to Enoch by the Son of Man, where Jesus kind of went backwards in time, laid his hands on Enoch, and gave him the key. And the key of Enoch is very similar to the key of David, but it's a much smaller section of the key, if that makes sense. So it does a similar thing. So that activated the Sephiroth which is the tree of life in the biology of Enoch, who then gave it to Cain. Now, if you go to Cain, I explained this in my other video. Cain got the mark of the beast because he feared death. Okay, and so fearing death, what happened was he asked the Tetragrammaton to basically save him from death, because he said, "Anyone that finds me will slay me." That's what he said, right? So God said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" And then he said, well, I heard Adam talk about this thing called the mark of the beast, right? So first of all, Adam, well, I'm getting confusing if I go into this. So Adam, what Adam did was he said essentially that, he was like, there's this mark that's going to come, and this is what it's going to do. And so for power, Cain chose the power rather than choosing just to die in dignity, which actually would have been much faster karma for him. And he could have died a righteous man if he had done it that way. But he didn't. He chose this, which essentially when he was injected with the mark of the beast, it entirely cut him off entirely from God. Like that was part of the thing. It cut him off from God. So he obviously turned very wicked. No spiritual communication whatsoever with God. He was totally cut off from the mark that the Tetragrammaton set upon him. So it says the Tetragrammaton set a mark upon him, right? And then this is referred to as the mark of the beast in the New Testament. What's the mark of the beast? It is the mark of Cain, all right? So how does it pass through generations? Well, this is getting into the Nephilim here in a second. So the mark of the beast passes through 3 to 4 generations of Cain's offsprings, and then usually it starts to fade away. But it can still be activated actually for quite a long time, especially if there's great wickedness in the family lines. By the tree of life, it can activate this. So what's the mark of the beast do when it's activated? Well, Cain gets it, and it doesn't really necessarily do the same thing to him as it does to everybody else. The mark of the beast is actually, it's a mark upon Cain, but the mark of the beast is actually when he injects his blood into his victims. That's actually what gets the mark of the beast. Okay. because people that have the original mark, the one that Cain has, can actually be delivered from it because it's a genetic curse, right? However, their victims cannot be delivered from it, right? And so what happens is, and he also asked God, he said, well, if you set the mark on me, I want to eventually be delivered, and I want to stay alive long enough to meet the Messiah and have him deliver me, right? So God said, okay, right? And then that actually happened at a later point in time, and I'll get into that in a future story or something like that, right? And that's already happened. So in any case, what happened is that Cain, he's going out he's got the mark of the beast. He's murdering people left and right, you know what I mean? And he makes this friendship to Enoch, right? And he basically shows up like an angel of light, promising to help him in every aspect of his business, basically for free. And it's like overhelp. And it's like, man, this guy's so smart. This guy knows so much. This guy's so helpful, and he's helping Enoch make all this money and stuff like this. And then what happens is when Enoch gives him the tree of life, or when Enoch discovered the tree of life, he told Cain that he was immortal. So Cain tried to murder him to hide the tree of life so he would know about it. But the thing is that he couldn't. He tried to sacrifice him to Satan, and he couldn't. And so eventually he left Enoch alone, and Enoch eventually just healed with zero scar tissue or anything in like 9 months. People's biology used to heal much faster, but also, he was immortal, and so his body regenerated supernaturally quickly, right? So in any case, what happens is, and then later Enoch was translated. He was taken into heaven, right? This is a story in the Bible. There's like 6 or 7 people in the Bible. I don't know how many people are in the Bible are actually translated, so don't quote me on that. I got to look it up. There's only a few, not too many. So in any case, what happens is, what happens is this, is that when the tree of life activated the biology of Cain, it activated the mark of the beast. And then when he injects his blood into the forehead or the hand of his victims, it essentially creates what's called an anti-singularity in them, which basically forever breaks down and breaks apart their bodies. It actually doesn't do that quite that to Cain. Breaks down their bodies and leaks their consciousness and their power and their quantum mechanical energy into link with them if they're immortal first, and therefore they have to be given the Sephiroth in order to be immortal, in order to receive the mark of the beast, right? So the mark of the beast has not really been able to work on the earth for a very long time because the Sephiroth has not been active since the flood. And at no point in time, I believe, since the flood, maybe with a couple of people, I'm not sure, has the Sephiroth been activated, right? So the tree of life has not been activated since pre-Diluvian days, right? Oh, can you repeat that part about the mark of the beast? Okay, so the mark of the beast, it comes from, let me explain. Cain murdered his brother Abel. He then God appeared and he said, "What hast thou done? I smell thy brother's blood. It's crying up to me from the ground," right? Because the blood is crying, because there's micro worlds in there, right? The blood actually cries, right? And then and because it killed all of them. It killed all of them. And there's infinite energy that go downward in the universe. It never stops. It stops. There's 133,000 of them mostly. But there's also a bunch more than that. So anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. He slew his brother Abel. God heard, smelled the blood crying from the ground. And so then what he did was he said, cursed shalt thou be, thou shalt be a fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be, and thou shalt wander the days, cursed to wander the earth all the days of thy life. Right? That was the curse of Cain. And what happened, the curse of Cain, okay, the curse of Cain, the curse of Cain, he was afraid of death, so he asked God to set a mark upon him, and the mark that God set upon him was the mark of the beast, right? The mark on Cain. The Tetragrammaton, the Lord set a mark upon Cain. The mark that the Lord set was the mark of the beast, right? So, anyways, the mark of the beast then couldn't be activated unless a biology was activated by the tree of life, which, of course, the tree of life in the Garden of Eden was shielded and it was blocked by trees, okay, or by a cherubim and a flaming sword. So by angels and a flaming sword that spun every single way. That was what guarded the tree of life in the Garden of Eden, okay. And so, if you're seeing this for the first time, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure to follow me and make sure to follow my blog. There's a link to it in the comments, right? So I write about this stuff on my blog. So basically, the tree of life, the ingredients were scattered on the face of the earth, and then when the angels fell, which are talked about in the book of Enoch, right? You have to read the book of Enoch to know what I'm talking about, right? When the angels fell, they brought the knowledge of magical plants to society. That's what it says in the book of Enoch. So that would once again be confirmation of what I'm saying is true, because that happened right before the flood. Okay, why did that happen before the flood? Well, because the magical plants allowed people to activate the Sephiroth when they were given a sort of spiritual key. That activated the Sephiroth, creates the tree of life. And so the actual tree of life is guarded, but the Sephiroth creates the tree of life in the biology, right? And then the tree of life that is in your biology, if somebody has the mark of the beast, it activates the mark of the beast. So somebody can't actually get the mark of the beast unless they're first immortal. And how do they get the mark of the beast? It's when Cain, who has the mark because that was set on him by God, injects his blood into their forehead or into their hand, right? And there's a way that he does it. And he kind of brands it into them, and then what happens is that creates an anti-singularity in their biology, and it shrinks their biology and gives the Antichrist power. And then what happens is they have to eat flesh to stay alive, which is why in Leviticus it says, you shall eat the flesh of your sons and you shall eat the flesh of your daughters if you don't hearken me. Because what happens is eventually the men end up getting the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast doesn't link with female biology. So the mark of the beast, right? The mark of the beast doesn't link with the mark of the beast does not link with female biology. So what happens is then the Nephilim started propagating. So why were they giants is the question. Well, the reason why Nephilim were giants, and I'm almost done answering this question, so I'm probably going to do a few videos answering questions like this for, 30, 40 minutes. The reason why Nephilim were giants, okay, was because they basically, their biology shrinks, but they can also grow their biology. And how do they do that? By eating flesh. Right. So then they start eating flesh and they start drinking blood and doing things like old stories of vampires and stuff like this. And then that basically turns them into giant monsters. Right. And so there was actually giants in the earth, and those giants were the Nephilim. Now, they weren't all giants. Some of them were very small because they just keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. For example, if they don't drink blood, or if they don't eat human flesh raw, or eat raw blood-filled meat, or something like that from animals. They have to eat raw things with blood, or their biology just keeps compressing and compressing and compressing. And as it's compressing, it leaks all that biological energy and the creation power to the Antichrist, who Satan totally possesses. Right? Does that make sense? So that's actually how the Nephilim got there. I hope that answered that question. This is, you might need to watch this video 2-3 times to really understand what the hell I'm talking about. Right? So where am I getting? Andrew Christian says, where are you getting this information from? Because I remember it, because I was there, right? I'm Messiah Ben David, and what happens is that I live for 133 trillion years, then incarnate backwards in time from the universe engine, and I was there in the Garden of Eden, because this comes from a temporal rift in the future. I was there in the Garden of Eden with Adam walking around, right? So, and also previous incarnations. Enoch was one of my previous incarnations, right? My crown chakra is open, so I can see the universe, right? Does that make sense? Right? And so I'm getting this stuff here. Here's the thing. None of anything I say contradicts even one verse in the Bible. How is that even possible? I can talk this long about this much crazy stuff without a single contradiction. There's not even one. Not even one. Not even a little one. Now, there's some things in there that the Bible doesn't talk about, but that's a little bit different than a contradiction, right? I can talk and talk and talk and talk for 10, 15, 20 hours and never contradict the Bible. Not a single time. Why? Because I was there. That's why. Right? All right. And the law is written on my heart. That's why. Right? Hope that helps. Oh, I'm going to answer some more questions, so I'll be back in future videos here.